Alright guys, so today we're going to be checking out the HIDIZS MP143 planar IEMs. Now, we don't really get to see a whole lot of planar magnetic driver IEMs, so whenever any of them come across my table, I'm always happy to check them out. Now, this is a Kickstarter funded project. It does say these are going to retail for $159, although because it's a Kickstarter, you can kind of expect it to have like early bird deals, and there's some that are floating at around $99. And one of those even includes a limited DAC that has a USB-C plug-in, which pretty much every phone or laptop actually uses. So this is really a good deal, but I'll have a link to all of that in the description. Now, the body of these IEMs are a CNC aluminum, and the design of these are actually inspired by whales. You can see these lines, which kind of mimics like the lines that you see on the bottom of whales, and it's more specifically inspired by a whale named Salt. So HIDIZS is actually working with the WDC, and this is just to kind of bring focus to whale conservation. So this actually is for a good cause. Again, all of this will be in the description, and it just makes it kind of another thing that's interesting about these IEMs. Now, on the Kickstarter page, whenever it says like who it thinks these IEMs are for, I find this to be extremely funny because it said it's for audiophiles looking for single IEMs, and I'm assuming they mean single driver IEMs. But the next thing it says is that it is for anybody that thinks animals are cute. I think that's a very broad statement. I think it's very it's just funny to see that as to something that an audio product would be for. Now, it says if you're wanting to obviously save the whales, that's the next part. But for anybody that thinks animals are cute, these are for you. Now on to the actual specs of the MP143s. It is high-res certified. Now they are using 14.3 planar magnetic drivers. Now the 14.3 is where the 143 comes from in the model number because HIDIZS also has an MP145 which is a 14.5 millimeter planar magnetic driver. But we're going to focus on the 143s today. Now it's also using, on planar drivers, you usually have magnets on each side, and it has 7 on each side of the driver, and they're using N52H magnets. Now these are very strong, so the magnets themselves aren't going to have a whole lot of movement as far as distortion and things like that, which is something to kind of expect with planars. I haven't had any issue with planar IEMs having distortion in the sound. Now inside the box, you are getting this little pouch to be able to keep these in. You're getting 3 sets of 2 different style of ear tips. Now they're both silicone, but one is white and this one is more focused on the high-end frequencies. So this one's going to bring out your treble a little bit more. And the black ones are more focused on balance. It's trying to keep everything pretty even keel overall. You're also getting 3 pneumatic tuning filters. Now there's 3 different style of these. The nozzle that's actually on the IEM, you can switch this out. And this will change the sound, kind of like its own little built-in EQ system. And the red one is to focus more on the highs. The rose colored one is to focus a little bit more on a balanced sound, and the silver one is to focus on the low end. Now the silver one is the one that's on the IEMs out of the box, and I'll tell you why I think they're doing that once we get to the sound. And then the cable that's included in the box is a copper twisted cable. Now it's using the 2-pin connection. And one thing that's unique again is you can actually choose if you want a normal 3.5 millimeter plug-in or if you want a 4.4 millimeter balanced plug-in. This is something that you would just choose on the site. And I think this is cool because, you know, not everybody is using the same plugins, or some people may just want to have that 4.4 millimeter balance plug-in, and at least you get the option while you're purchasing these. Now the impedance level on these comes in at 17 ohms with a sensitivity at 103 decibels. So what that really means is this pair is extremely easy to drive to get volume out of, but you definitely need an amp if you're wanting to bring out the lows, the mids, and the highs, because now we're going to talk about the sound, and this is where it's really going to just kind of divide who these are actually for. So if you are a bass head, if you're somebody that just likes to have that subwoofer type sound, or you like to feel the impact of bass, that is not who these are for. I felt like the low end definitely lacked. I think they're trying to focus so much on being a fast pair of IEMs, focusing a lot on the details and not having that bass roll over anything, that I feel like most of the time the bass is kind of weak. And I think most normal consumers are definitely going to feel this way. But if you have the right amp, the right DAC where you can kind of pull out the low end a little bit more, I think you're going to be a little bit more happy if you're a bass head. But these are definitely focused on vocals and the overall clarity of the music. This is a brighter sounding earbud. I would say the treble is definitely tuned up where it can have this sibilant sound to it at times. It can sound a little bit harsh depending on what you're listening to and the source you're listening from, but the mids on these sound absolutely fantastic. Vocals are definitely the focus when it comes to the overall sound signature of these. Now it says that it has a typical Harman tuning, but I just don't get that vibe from these. I really hear vocalists kind of stand out amongst the rest of the mix of the music, and that didn't matter if it was easy listening or country or pop or hip hop, metal, anything. Vocals always sounded up front. Now anything that's a little bit more guitar focused, the mids are going to pull that a little more up front. And for me, especially somebody that's more used to the typical Harman tuning, it can be a little bit distracting. And again, it makes you feel like the drums are a little bit more in the background. It makes you feel like, especially if you're listening to hip hop, that somebody just accidentally slipped up and knocked the bass all the way down. It's just, I don't feel like it's for every genre of music, and I definitely do not feel like these are meant to have this wide appeal to go for normal consumers and also audiophiles that like to kind of pick apart music. Now the soundstage and the sound imaging are excellent, and I think this is because the bass is not coming in and kind of closing things in, and it's not making everything kind of sound congested, because this is a very detail-oriented earbud. It's really easy to tell like if sounds are coming from this side or this side, and sometimes it even sounds like it's just a little bit more layered than other IEMs. And for an IEM that you can get for under $100, I think that part is extremely impressive. So my overall opinion is, you know, as long as you're not a bass head or somebody that just gravitates towards the low end in music, this is an excellent pair. If you're somebody that likes to pick apart music, if you like to hear a lot of details in your music, I would really push you in the direction of these. I cannot recommend them for anybody that mainly listens to pop or hip hop. Somebody that's going to want the fun sound or the aggressiveness of the bass to kind of bring your music to life. Because I just kind of feel like it's dialed back some. You can bring out a little bit more low end, obviously, by keeping the silver nozzle on here. I would definitely recommend the black ear tips over the white ones, because the white ones are just going to bring out the treble that much more. And really, again, I feel like the only way to bring out low end is having it tied into a system where the amp is going to pull it out that much more, and you can EQ it a lot more, because I don't think it's meant to be tuned to be this very aggressive IEM. And that's different than some of the other planars that I've tested lately. I've had some planars that have a warmer sound that does have a little bit more focus on the low end, and this one just seems like they're going for something completely different. So obviously it's just going to come down to personal preference. But guys, that's my video on the HIDIZS MP143s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.